If you can't find the Solution Explorer in VS Code, don't worry because nothing is broken. Microsoft removed it in a recent C# Dev Kit update, and there's now a different way to work with C# projects in VS Code. So in this video, I'll show you what changed, where everything moved, and how to get started with the new experience. First, let me show you my version of the C# Dev Kit, which you can see right here. So just keep that version in mind because you will likely have a higher version at the time that you see this video, and the behavior of the C# Dev Kit may have changed by then. Now let's go ahead and close this screen, and the new experience is evident as soon as you start creating new projects. So to show you that, let me go to my command palette here. I'll pick the new project. I'll pick my SVNet Core empty template. I'll go to my projects folder here, select folder, and here I'll just enter install.api, hit enter. I'll click on create project. And what you'll notice is that the wizard never asked me if I wanted to pick an SLN or SLNX file type for the solution, and that is because the solution itself is no longer required. You're going to see that the project got created and we can see the files on the left side, but you're going to notice that there is no SLN or SLNX file created here, and instead you are going to be in this C# workspace dev mode right there, which pretty much means that the entire workspace is going to now act as your solution. And even when there is no solution, you should be able to get all of the behaviors that you expect with C# projects in VS Code, including all of the IntelliSense that you're expecting to see as you work with your project files. Now, the other thing that you're going to notice is this brand new C# project details view on the left side, which is the one that's going to replace the previous Solution Explorer. This is where you can see things like your dependencies, right, and project references across the different projects, and a few other things, but this is mostly a virtual view and a read-only view of a few things that you could only get with that Solution Explorer before. But like I said, it is read-only. You cannot really click on any of these to create files or add project references. That's not going to work anymore. And instead, you need to revert to the File Explorer for most of the actions. Now, why would Microsoft do this? If you want to get more details about that, you can check out these pages over here, and I'm going to leave the links in the description. But essentially, as you can see here, they want to consolidate the Solution Explorer view into the VS Code's Explorer view to ensure one primary way to navigate and understand your files and folders. So they just want to have a single place for you to deal with anything that has to do with your files, right? And there's even more explanations in this other link over here, right? The file system is the source of truth. We recommend arranging files the way that you want them grouped, and the Explorer shows exactly that. Now, you should read this in detail when you get a chance, but right now I want to go back to VS Code and show you how to get things done with this new experience. So let me start by collapsing this view for a moment. And the first thing that I want to show you is how to build and debug your project with this new experience. So to build your project, what you can do now is just use your File Explorer by right-clicking your project folder, and you're going to find that your build, clean, rebuild, and publish menus are right there. That's how you can now go ahead and build your project. So just right click, click on build, and the normal build task is going to kick off and your project is going to get built. Now, if you want to build everything in your current workspace, you can always do Ctrl+Shift+V to open your command palette and just select the build task, which is going to go ahead and build everything in your workspace as if it was a big solution. Now, to debug your project, you can always go into the Run and Debug view on the left side. You can go here and you can click on Run and Debug, or you can also open your menu and then you can go into Run and then select either Start Debugging or Run Without Debugging. So you just click on that. You're going to have to select what is going to be your actual debugger, right? So let's say I pick C#. Let's say I go for my HTTP profile, and that's going to go ahead and kick off the debugging of the project, just as it would do when you start debugging from the Solution Explorer. Now let's go back to VS Code. I'm going to stop my debug session here. And the next thing that I want to show you is how to create new C# files in your project. So unfortunately, you can't just right click here and find a menu to create C# files using the .NET project item templates. If you click on new file here, this is going to be the standard way to create any file in VS Code. So for instance, I'll do my file.cs, but this is not going to include any of the built-in code that you expect to have in this C# file, depending on the type of project you want to create. So this is not a great experience. Now let me delete that. And what you can do now is actually go back to the command palette. So Ctrl+Shift+P, you can do .NET new file, you select new file, you have to select into which project you want to include this new file. So let's say GameStore.api in this case. And now you get the full list of file project templates like classes, API controllers, and the many other expected templates. So for instance, I'll select class, and now I'll enter the actual class name, for instance, game. I'll hit enter, and the game class has now been created on the left side, and notice that it includes the usings, the namespace, the actual class declared over there, which is what you would expect. This is one of the big misses of the current version of the C# Dev Kit, because you should be able to do this by just right-clicking the project and selecting the right item menu here. Now, on top of this, if you want to create this file in a specific location, let's say that we have a new folder here called models, right? Unfortunately, you cannot create that file directly over there. You would have to drag it like this, right? Drag it manually over there, select the file, and now, well, you may want to actually fix the namespace of this file to match the location of the file, right? So for that, you can click on the light bulb over here, and you can choose the option here, change namespace to GameStore API models, and that is going to fix your namespace. Now let's close that. And the next thing that I want to show you is how to create a brand new project, because you cannot create anything really from this project details view, right? But what you can do is, once again, go into your command palette, Ctrl+Shift+P, you can select new project. In this case, let's say I want to do a class library. I'm going to name it GameStore.contracts. I'll pick my default directory. I'll click on create project, and the project is going to load on the left side. I'll close this, and notice that the C# project details is going to immediately start showing that new project that just got created, right? So it gets in context and gets discovered right away. And from here, of course, you may want to start adding project references across projects, right? So how can I get API to reference my contacts project? Well, you can either right-click on the project folder, or you can also right-click on the project itself, and you can select the Add Project Reference menu over here. Now part of the File Explorer, select your project, and the reference will be established, right? You can see that your project file has been updated over here. It has that new project reference right there. Now let's close this. And the next thing is, well, how do we do NuGet package management, right? Because you can also do that. You can always come into your project file, and now you're going to find your C# package management menu right there. You can click on Add NuGet package. And from here, you can go ahead and just search your packages as usual. So let's say I want to do SQLite, right? I'll hit enter. I'll pick Microsoft Entity Framework Core, SQLite. I'll pick the latest version over here, and the package is going to get installed. And you can see that it got installed by looking at your API project once again. You can see the package reference right here. And we should see a hint of that dependency also in our project details. Let's see, we have dependencies, and we can see that the brand new package is available right here, right? So let's close this, and let's close that. Now, what if you actually want to introduce a solution into your workspace, right? That is actually also doable. All you have to do is, once again, open your command palette, Ctrl+Shift+P. You can do .NET, create a solution file, pick your directory, enter the name of your solution, hit enter. Here is where you can actually choose if you want to do the legacy SLN format or the brand new modern SLNX format. I'll pick SLNX. And the file is going to be created right there, as you can see. And not only that, VS Code is going to recognize the brand new solution and is going to start using it as the entry point to discover all of your C# projects. C# project details should also notice that we have that brand new solution over there. Notice that even if I reload the entire workspace as if I'm opening it from scratch, so I'll do Ctrl+Shift+P and I'll do developer reload window, you should see that VS Code immediately notices the one solution we have available and is going to use it to discover all of our projects. Now, what happens if you are working with an existing code base where you do have multiple solutions already in there? So for that, let me show you this other workspace I have over here, which is a workspace that includes multiple microservices, and each of them have their own solutions. Notice that this one has its own solution. This one over here has also its own solution, and we're going to find multiple solutions across the board in this workspace. So in this case, by default, VS Code via the C# dev kit is going to start in your C# workspace dev mode, right? That's going to be the default mode for VS Code in this situation. But if you need to, you can always ask VS Code to switch the context to a very specific solution. That could be useful in the cases where, for instance, you want to start working or debugging your application and you click on Run and Debug. You're going to pick your C# debugger and you're going to find that by default it's going to show all of the launch configurations for every single project across your workspace, right? So this is a case where you may want to actually switch to a very specific solution. So for that, what you can do is just open your project folder, right-click your solution file, and then you can select the switch solution option over here. So switch solution. That is going to immediately switch the context, as you're going to see both down here and over here. That switches the context to start working on that very specific solution. And now, well, if you want to go ahead and start debugging this, you could click Run and Debug, C#. You're going to find that what you see here is only what is relevant to the selected solution. So it just reduces all of that clutter. So there you go. That is the new C# dev kit experience. I hope this was useful, and I'll see you on the next video.